This guy is nuts. Is he really making daily recordings of his possible divorce and releasing it as a podcast? They both cheated on each other? She's making 6 figures and still doesn't contribute to any joint endeavors financially? Why is she still with him? Why is he still with her? I can't wait for the next episode. This helps me be a better wife. So this is how men think. I hate my husband less now. I understand my wife more now. These are some of the listener comments to the Divorce Diaries podcast. All over the map, I know. These anonymous accounts of events should resonate with anyone that has been married, is married, or is preparing for marriage, and helps couples avoid pitfalls as they might prepare for marriage. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else. At Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link in description. Now for today's episode.
I'll tell you, this is one of the heavier lifts. Going through this divorce with my wife is really difficult. The reason the divorce is so difficult now is because I didn't understand how wrapped up I totally am still. I'm gonna be honest. How wrapped up I totally am in my wife. It's like I don't know how to function. I don't know how to think. I don't know how to move. I would always bounce everything off of her. I don't think she understood that I was bouncing almost everything off of her. Or worse, I think she definitely understood that I was bouncing everything off of her, which, think about that for a second. How much fucking pressure must that have been? Or even if it wasn't pressure, how annoyed might my wife have been with me? But just like, seriously, like something else. It's like, I don't know how she may have looked at the phone when I called. Like, what is it going to be this time? Or was she always happy to hear from me? And then she's like, oh, here we go. Or it would just become too exhausting. And now that I'm living on my own as of this recording, doing my own thing every day, day in, day out. It is just me worried about me, and I am enjoying it. I'm not necessarily enjoying being away from her all the time, but I'm becoming my own self, my own version of me for the first time, and I'm getting acquainted. It's like I'm literally shaking my own hand. I'm like, hey, it's nice to meet you. You've gone through one more day and sort of by yourself. I mean, to be honest, like I am still to a very large extent calling, texting, how was your day? Good night. I miss you. I love you. I just wanted to let you know I appreciate this. And oh, when you used to do that, I appreciate it. Am I having some buyer's remorse with this divorce? Yes. But I understand now, working diligently with my therapist and reflecting back, because I just am one of those people where I forget things. Notice, I didn't say I forget the bad things. No. I didn't say I forget the good things. No. I forget things, which means if my wife did 20 things bad that were red flags and should have gotten me out of this marriage much sooner, I forget those because I tend to look at things in a very isolated, compartmentalized sort of way where it's like, nope, this situation was different. She did this for this reason and this reason alone, not that it was a string of habits. Likewise, the good things that my wife did, I'm like, hey, she did this with the kids. Wow, that was awesome. She did that with the kids. Wow, that was awesome. I looked at those things, each thing she would do day in, day out. And I'm like, hey, she just did this one thing, this one time. Not that it's a string and it's a habit of good, quote unquote, behavior. Positive things putting into the cup. I didn't necessarily think about it that way. So that's one of my biggest problems that I've definitely got to get a handle on, because either way, Sometimes from moment to moment, from day to day, I am over or underestimating the value of everything and everyone. I'm making people fall short when they shouldn't. I'm exalting them when they don't deserve it. It's really difficult, I'll say, unwrapping and untangling yourself from a person. And that's what I'm doing now diligently. I'm trying. I'm trying to, oh man, I've got to put a photo up on my wall in my place. And I'm like, uh, I wonder what she would, oh jeez. Don't think like that. Don't think like that. Just do it yourself. Sink or swim. You'll get it right or you won't. And it'll be okay. You'll get it right. Don't worry. It's okay. And that's what I've been working a lot with my therapist about. Like, it's okay. It's okay. You've got to remember, it's okay. So, yeah, I just try to keep myself reminded of the fact that things are okay. I can have, and I should have, an identity outside of my wife. I should have one. And it was a tough pill to swallow, realizing that I didn't have an identity. And outside looking in, it's like I do. I look like I know what I'm doing. I probably look like a guy that's fairly confident. I probably look like a guy that knows where he's going and what he's doing. And I dress well and I try to drive a nice car and I try to carry myself well and speak clearly and mix it up with the best of them and fall in with people that are of much more scholar and prestige than I ever could imagine to be, as well as fit in with people that are socioeconomically on a lower scale than I am. I feel like a guy that's in place no matter where he goes. But deep down, honestly speaking, I am just, as far as emotional maturity is concerned, in some ways, I'm far less mature than my wife. And I think I've always felt that. And I always look to her for validation and clarity and perspective and direction. Because, I mean, my goodness, she kicked my ass in school and had aspirations to be a physician. And I'm like, I kind of wanted to be a lawyer, but I just kind of said I want to do it because I want to, like, keep bad people out of jail, good people out of jail, and put bad people in it. It was very rudimentary what I was thinking. And she's like, no, I want to go to medical school because I want to be a surgeon. And that's what I want to do. And I know what school I want to go to. And this type of surgery is what I want. And I'm just like, holy fuck, this girl is smart. She is a lot smarter than I am. And I think that imprint was just in my brain, and I just sort of devalued myself. And it wasn't anything that she did. I didn't realize just how low my self-esteem is and was. It's another reason why I know I've been pushing this therapy thing on a lot of the recordings that I've been doing lately and diary entries, because it is a big deal. It's a very big deal to go to therapy and unpack things. And lately there's been a lot going on. So it's been a lot of like sort of sniper style therapy sessions. Wow, that's kind of funny. I'll call them sniper sessions. There's been a lot of sniper sessions where, man, this just happened. Locate that target. Boom, take it out. This happened. Locate that. Boom, take it out. Oh, what do I do here? Where's the threat? Boom, take that out. It's been a lot of that. And I think we're sort of getting to a place where the more space that there exists between me and my wife, and we're living apart and we're speaking less, and like we're at a point now where like we're hardly ever saying I love you at this point. I mean, the I love you is there, but it's like, well, at least me, I'm saying the I love you, one, because I love her, but two, because I'm going to be honest. I'm saying it to her because I don't want her to forget. And I'm also telling her I love her because I don't want to forget. I miss her so much. But I'm trying not to ride too high because there's a few people in the world that really know my wife and what she has done in various situations. And to those people, it's like it's not that a mask is being worn, but because I'm going to be honest, let me throw me under the bus first. I'm like a wrecking ball. My parents were both very critical people. They both pointed out things that were wrong, and they were both very forceful in how they told you what you needed to do. And I took that and I followed suit. I did that same thing, but I did it with my wife. I did it with my children. So I was just the overly critical and hard father and husband. Very tough to live with somebody like that. And I understand that about me now. Now I do. I get it. I'm fucked up, and I was fucked up. Still am fucked up. Working on not being so fucked up. My wife, I believe, just watching how she moves, she really needs people to not discard her. So the avoiding of some difficult conversations can happen. Some enabling can happen. And because she's aware of the things that she's doing, she can be very covert in her movements and very careful about what she tells you and what she doesn't tell you. Which, when you understand that's happening, you tend to understand or you tend to really feel that you may be being deceived. And that feeling of, that consistent feeling of threat, real threat of deception or omission or betrayal, even if it's not happening or it hasn't happened in a while, there's always a feeling of it happening because it's just happened so consistently. That's all I'm saying. Could there have been things that did that? Could I have manifested that in my life? Could I have manifested that by how I treated my wife? Yes, all the above. Doesn't change the fact that it happens. And that's where I need to stay. And I need to stay there because, again, I'm pushing therapy because I'm the only person, and you would be the only person too that would know yourself enough to know how much you've changed. Over the weekend, we were out at a sports bar, and my wife said, "Yeah, it took me a long time to understand that I'm a badass bitch." Those were her exact words. It took me a long time to understand that I'm a badass bitch, and I understand that because coming from where she is and was coming from on the ledger, she felt as if I, tore her down. I was emotionally abusive and verbally abusive. And I, like a lot of women say, oh, he was just abusive. Granted, I would couch that actually, and I would say, well, it was usually because I kind of told you about something that you were doing that wasn't great, or I reminded you of a promise you made to yourself or the family. I kind of pointed out these things and breaches in contracts or agreements. I tended to point that out often. Like I said, I was a critical person, hunted for things to criticize, and I did it. I did it with impunity. Fucking asshole. That's me. But doing that to someone for so long, they likely get to a place where they're looking for that confidence and they're trying to own the great things about themselves. And that's what she was doing. She was trying to tell me that I have finally realized that I had a bad bitch and I'm losing one. And now I understand that I'm a boss ass bitch. So I don't know if that term did anything viscerally to anyone that's listening, but yeah, it's a tough one to hear. And yes, it does say something about the person that speaks that way. Hey, I have a lot more confidence now, more confidence in myself. And she was drinking a little bit. That could have been a reason why. And she wasn't like super angry, but she was definitely condescending, and there was definitely, I'm letting you know, I'm in your face, I'm a badass bitch. It was definitely some of that. It was some attitude there. It's a little bit of spice. So thinking about that spice that's there, that's not anything that I don't. Let me back up. Pushing therapy is something that's helpful, I think, because sometimes before we put certain things through that spin cycle, we kind of take a look at it and we kind of look and we say, all right, am I looking at this wrong or whatever? Because who knows, the therapist may say, hey, let's try to look at this, at least my therapist, let's try to look at this from my wife's point of view. And we sort of break things apart. And I go through the exercise and I'm like, oh, she likely felt this when I did that. She likely thought that when I thought that. All right, we can go back to talking about your hurt, but let's just know that when someone said that or did that, this might be where they were coming from. Understand that. So I had to. So therapy has been very hard because it's been very honest. That's why I can honestly say I miss her. And I wonder what our marriage would be had I not been the asshole that I was. And I also wonder what our marriage would have been had she not done a lot of the things that she did. And maybe if I didn't react so harshly. It's hard not to think about the what ifs and the coulda, woulda, shouldas. It's difficult. It's very difficult. Divorce is the most difficult thing that I've ever done outside of physical things. Divorce is hard because you don't want it. You're slowly going through this thing that you had no plans of going through. And it lasts a long time, and it's for the rest of your life. We have children. It's not like I could just move to another city and then I'm just done with it. It's like change the scenery, change a person, just change it, and then give it a few months, give it a year, and you're good. I've got to know this person for the rest of my life, which I'm happy about, but I'm also sad because it's like, at least right now, I don't know, I feel like I'm not going to really be quote unquote free. But I guess that's life, right? And therapy is helping me understand the highs, the lows, the middles, and respect them all, and not move so fast and have a little bit more perspective so that I don't forget things that I shouldn't. The good things or the bad.
Wow, that was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The Daily Saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.